Hey everyone, my name is Jesse and I am this past week's Trade of the Week winner. I want to walk you through my trade on Plug. Plug ended up making my watch list as it was gapping up near 3% and had about 700,000 shares traded in the pre-market. While it didn't have a catalyst the day of this trade, it had released earnings a few days earlier and had a pretty strong day. So that's why it ended up making my watch list. Um, I want to walk you through a little bit of my thinking. I am a TD Ameritrade user, but I actually use it with DOS now, which has been absolutely fantastic. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out. But because of the way that DOS is set up, I don't have replay. So I do have kind of a replay feature here on TD Ameritrade that I can walk you through. So I want to walk you through what I was seeing and like how I managed my trade. So what you'll see here in the pre-market is we've got this pre-market level of 1765, which I am calling my pre-market high because that's kind of when the majority of the action ended up happening. And you see we had pretty clean action here. There is this really weird wick here at 18 as the official pre-market high, but for the intents of my pre-market break, I'm really treating the 1765 as my break. So um, as I was looking at Plug, I was really not even looking at a pre-market high break. I was looking for a 1 minute opening range breakout, but as it opened up, I thought it looked strong, so I ended up taking a pre-market break, and I'll kind of walk you through that here. So go ahead and hit play. So you'll see it opens up, and we've got some okay volume, 50,000 shares, nothing overly major. Once it starts getting to like 100 and 200K, that's when it really starts to get interesting for me. Um, and so my trade, I end up taking it about the 30-second level. So you'll see it. You won't see it here, I should say, since this is a replay through TD. So here we're hitting about 250,000 shares, so I know it's looking strong, and I take my trade. So at the break of the 1765 is when I take it, and I set a stop of about 1760. And then I just kind of let it go. You'll see we're still getting some really good volume here, and I end up for my first partial, I'm trying to look at the tape and see what's happening and see the price action. I see it hesitates, so I take that first partial here at 1780. Then I kind of get back to thinking of my opening range, my initial strategy, my opening range breakout. And so here I'm watching it, and I'm seeing it's going down, but it's failing to flush or even make it back to VWAP. So now I'm thinking, okay, long here for the break of this pre-market, or excuse me, this 1 minute candle. And so I take my long, I maintain my stop of about 1760, only because I thought it was pretty strong. And then I'll bring my trade up while this runs in the background, and you can see how I actually manage the trade. So let's see. So you'll see I entered for the pre-market break, partial, added for the 1 minute opening range break, partial, held, took another partial at this 18 level, which was the official pre-market high, and then took another partial. I think this was about 5R or so here, and then it kind of sold off. And so what I was thinking, if I fast forward a little bit, let's see if I can do this. Here we go. So that's about 10 minutes. There we go. So what I was thinking here, in terms of why I added, you'll see we made this push up on volume, like the volume's increasing as we're moving up higher. But then we had this candle here that was kind of a wide-bodied candle, but on pretty average volume. So I wasn't too concerned about holding my position through this. Actually, I think it was, this is where I added. It was kind of giving me a little bit of interest in adding. And so what I saw was this wide body candle, low volume, followed by similar volume on large indecision. And so this is where I ended up taking my add. here based on the indecision and this like wide-bodied bar with very minimal volume, basically saying like, hey, yes, we're moving down, but we're not really enthusiastic about that move down. And then I ended up partialing. I got really close to the top of all of these wicks when I partialed. And what I like to do is see where the price action is hesitating and then partial as I see that hesitation. Um, Now, I still had shares left. And this, I'll be honest, this doji concerned me. Slightly above average volume. Um, but I only had like 17 shares at this point. So I was just kind of looking for a place to add. Um, and so fast forward again, where I ended up adding was right around here. So I saw again, we had a wide bodied bar down, um, average volume, followed by indecision, followed by more indecision. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take my shares here. And um, because I only had 17 shares, I'm going to set a stop here for like 18, 19, it looks, and hope that I get a move up because I saw the wide body down indecision. So I was hoping for that wide body up. I didn't get it. I actually got stopped out. Um, so that's kind of how my trade concluded. But in terms of what I think I did well, um, I think what I did well was kind of adjusting my strategy on the fly, if you will. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it worked this time, where I went to the break of pre-market high strategy instead of my typical 1 minute ORB. And then I still took my 1 minute ORB, so it just ended up working up all around. So I took this break, and I got a good move. Um, what I think I could have done better is I think plug ended up finishing up at about like 1890 on the day. And while I only had 17 shares here on my last ad, like that's a, 75-cent move. Actually, my cost basis was about 17.75. So $1.25 on 17 shares, that's not bad. But I think what I was thinking is like, hey, let's try to see if this is a momentum type trade, and let's kind of, um, I guess I was not being patient. Um, so I guess my big learning here is to be more patient, let it ride, save some shares for a potential trend, because I did miss out on a bigger move by adding in at this point here, um, after about 15 minutes of the trade. So uh, that's my trade on plug. If you guys have questions, feel free to reach out or leave a comment on the YouTube. Again, I am a TD with DOS user, which has been absolutely fantastic. So if you guys have questions on that, let me know. Otherwise, I do want to thank the BBT community, the team. You guys have done an amazing job in just kind of helping all of us new traders in our journey, whether it's through the webinars, whether it's through pre-market shows or mentoring sessions. You guys have done a fantastic job, and I just want to thank you. And I highly recommend BBT to anyone that's interested in joining a community. I have another video that I've posted maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago when I won Trade of the Week, and where I have a testimonial. So check that out. But absolutely 1000% recommend it. So thank you all to the BBT community.